back home after 3 weeks on the road. The snow is all gone, but the list of projects has just increased. We want to expand our chicken run for one, because when we free range them out on the property, they just destroy the gardens. They dig up stuff we've just transplanted, they get into the seeds, it's just a mess. So if we can expand this area, that would be so much nicer for them. Our rabbit colony here is going to get a total makeover. It took some damage during the winter as well. We got some new rabbit cages, so we're gonna have to build a new kind of shed for those, and we might do a rabbit colony off the side of that shed and turn this into more space for the chickens, because that's the chicken coop. These are the new rabbit cages we got. We got 4 of them for 200 bucks. Apparently they paid 200 bucks for each, so that was a great deal. Damage from snow is nothing new for us. It just means more cleanup and build it stronger next time. Speaking of cleanup, I've got a bunch of this old firewood that basically we got an amazing deal on, because it's all the offshoots and end pieces and big knots and stuff that a commercial firewood guy couldn't put through his machine. So he just sold off the extra, and we were going to cut it up with a chainsaw and use it in the house. Now we got a lot of it cut up and used, but there's some of this other stuff that it's just too hard and I hadn't got to it yet. So I'm going to take some of that and put it in the greenhouse in our new raised beds, and that will help kind of do like the hugelkultur method. That'll rot down, it'll take up some space in those raised beds, so we don't have to use as much compost and dirt inside the raised bed. That yellow extension cord was being used for the water heater for the cows, and that was a big mistake because it almost caused a fire, as well as possibly could have electrocuted our cows. You can check out that video up here in one of these corners. So because of that situation with the extension cord and the cow's water, during the middle of winter we had installed a plug right at the cow's water trough. It's an outdoor plug. We can plug the heater right into it, and it's got one of those shut off if something happens. But now we've got this cord running here, so now I've got to bury that as well, hide it, because during the winter it was on top of the snow and we couldn't dig the trench. And speaking of cows, I got to come back here and fix the electric wire for the cows. I think I want to replace the entire fence and redo it, because when we first redid it, we were in a hurry. We wanted to get everything set up and going. And of course, that's a mistake. because you don't do it right the first time, and then you have to go back and fix it. So we used smaller posts instead of buying a whole bunch of cedar posts. We did a curved line to try and match the terrain instead of straight lines. So that puts a lot of stress on the electric fence and actually pulls it out of the insulators that are on the posts. So we want to kind of take some more forest down, not really a lot, but kind of make a trail through some, so we can straighten the fence lines, and that'll put less tension on the wire. It'll go straight instead of curving around. And what I'd like to do too is replace it also with heavier gauge. So then I think with a heavier gauge I could probably tighten it even more, because one of our big problems is the snow load. There's so much snow that it sits on the fence and actually pulls that wire down. So now we have sagging wire around the entire back field here. And speaking of fences, I need to get the electric fence up around this area and also clean this space out. Tomorrow we get our meat chickens, so I gotta make sure this is all set up and ready to go for them. And everything I mentioned takes time, money, and the ability to prioritize. The meat chickens are kind of coming quick, so they're #1 priority right now. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is take the time that I have available and get that ready. Sometimes a project on the farm is as simple as moving some stuff to get to other stuff so you can get your project done. So this kind of table right here, we actually used for our wedding last year, and we had 2 metal kind of barrels that we put on here and put coals in and put ice in for the hot food and the cold food, and people could serve themselves. It worked out really well, but now we don't have a use for it. So what we're actually going to do is take off this top and put on a mesh, a wire mesh screen, and this is going to be our new sifter, I guess you would call it, for compost. We'll put the wire mesh on, we can take the bucket, pour dirt from the pig pen and the cow pen onto here, push it through the screen wire, and get nice dirt compost out to the bottom. It's going to work so well, I hope. So with that table and the roofing out of the way, we can now get the tractor in here. We're going to clean up some of this old metal and scrap wood. This was from an old car shelter that collapsed because of our snow load, and it's just been kind of sitting here. We've been wanting to use it for maybe building a shelter for the chickens or something like that, but we didn't get to it. So we're going to take this back, put it in our metal pile, and then that metal pile is going to get taken to the scrap yard eventually. Of course it had to start raining though, but that's all right. Rain is good. It's a little dry right now, and rain makes corn. Corn makes whiskey. That's good in my books. All right guys, well, I'm going to take the bale spear off the tractor. I'm going to switch it for the bucket, and I'm going to go back where I just cleaned out all the metal and the wood, and I'm going to smooth it out a bit. I know there's some brambles and stumps in there, some small ones, but I'm going to get clear that out, smooth it out as well. And then I'll probably get the chicken net up today, maybe tomorrow morning before we go get the chickens. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the weather and how I'm feeling. Anyway, thanks again guys. Make sure you get down here and check out this video here where we got our chickens last year. Thanks again.